This is a review of the all-top air compressor that you can use for inflating your tires off-road. It comes with adapters. You can see there's a needle for inflating sports balls and so on. But the thing that's nice is it has this connector that goes from their fitting to a regular fitting. And that's really nice because if you want to use a regular air hose, this is the fitting that will work for that. The one that's on the compressor is their proprietary, sort of a non-standard size. The hose that comes with it is not the curly kind, it's just a straight rubber hose, but it is long enough to reach all the tires. I set this on the front bumper of my Jeep and it reaches all 4 tires from there, so I don't have to move the compressor around. I'll show you the accuracy of this a little later in the video. The gauge is pretty accurate. They also give you this. It has a screw-on type thing, but they have an adapter so you can do a clip-on type adapter for that goes on to your valves. And then inside, this is what the compressor looks like. It's big, it's pretty heavy, but that's nice because you want one that's going to give you the volume you need to get the tires inflated quickly. And then here's the connectors. I'll show it to you hooked up to the Jeep and running, because one of the things I want to do is measure the sound level to give you an idea of how loud it is. Okay, I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to measure the sound level with this meter. You can see just me talking is 68 or around 70. When I'm quiet, it's around 40 or so. So I'm going to turn it on. Take a reading with this air compressor so you get an idea of how they compare. This is a standard compressor a lot of people have in their garage. You can see the readings on that are about 100 right next to it, and then about 90 up at the distance where you're standing above it. Now I wanted to show the length of the battery leads. They're plenty long. They reach all the way over and connect to the battery over here. So they give you plenty of cable there, and then the length of this is long enough to reach the rear tires on each side without moving the compressor. So just sitting here, I can get all 4 tires inflated. I've got it connected to my Jeep tire, which is a 285/75/16, which is essentially a 33-inch tire. They're not the widest, they're only 10.5 inches wide instead of the 12.5. So it's pretty high volume tire. When I ran it, I got about 10 psi per minute. And so for me to get from 15 psi up to my 33 psi that's recommended for the tire is a little under 2 minutes. When I check the tire pressure with this gauge that has proven to be pretty accurate, you can see it registers right at 24. Now I'll plug in the compressor to the air valve. And when you read the gauge, you can see that it's a little under 25. And so they're pretty close. The gauge that they give you with it is actually pretty good. The gauge also has a little button on the back to release air. So if you overinflate a little bit, like I have, you can just lets them out like that pretty easily. I need to be down about 33 or so. So that gets me right there. The last thing I'll say is about how warm it gets. After inflating a tire, I can touch it, it's not overly warm. Now, it will get hot after 4 tires. It's pretty hot, but not dangerously hot. Now I compare it with, I had a Smitty Bilt compressor. It's the 5 cubic foot per minute model that's similar to this one. And that got really hot. And it seemed to be at least as loud or maybe a little louder. And they didn't give you adapters for to use a standard air hose. You had to use their air hose with their adapters, and it was frustrating at times. It was a good compressor. I used it for a few years. It never failed me, so overall it was a good one. This one seems to be a little better in each category. Now I've only had it a little while, so I can't talk about the longevity so far, but I'm going to say overall it seems to be just a little bit better than the Smitty Bilt, and we'll see how long it lasts for me.